I'm Dr. Kenneth Ray Riley of the Ray Riley Institute of Applying Nutrients to the Endocrine Glands. Welcome. We're hoping to do a manifesto today about Dr. Riley and who Dr. Riley is. And a lot of you are not familiar with who I am. So we're hoping to just give you some introduction of who I am. We're going to go all the way back to the South, be in the era of the Mahomes. I'm the only one that's left. All my other siblings are going on now. And we're hoping to maybe to bring it to some closure to who Dr. Riley is and where I derive from. Well, I was conceived in 1947, born in 1948 to Leora Smalley Mahomes. I'm the only heir of the Mahomes. My mother, she had 6 children. One was stillborn, and the oldest sister was Earlene, then Lucille, then that was William, myself, and David. David was the youngest. And the fathers, well, that's some controversy because my mom, her maiden name is Taylor. She was the only daughter of my grandmother, Minerva Mahomes. That was her name. I had her first sibling when she was about 12. Then eventually I had my older sister, Earlene, at 13. Then my brother Will, and etc. on down the line. And then I myself. I was born Kenneth Wayne Taylor. That was my name on my certificate. How Riley come to be about my mom, she married Freddie Taylor. She became a Taylor. That is her maiden name. And somehow there was some feud going on between Freddie Taylor and Jimmy Riley. Jimmy Riley was never a Riley. He was always a Withers from St. Louis, Missouri. And there was some feud going on between him and his friend Freddie, etc., down the line. That my mom eventually married him at age 18. And Freddie had one daughter, which was my sister Earlene, and myself. But I didn't realize that I was a Taylor until later on in the year. You'll probably hear about that a little bit later. But born in 1948, went to Townsend Park. No, make that Holman High. Holman High is a high school that was in Stuttgart, Arkansas, better known as Rice State. And that's what Arkansas is better known for. And my brother and I, we all lived there on 212 West Jefferson Street. That's in Stuttgart, Arkansas. But before we moved to 212, my mom, she was having some problems, some difficulties, and basically we don't know the idea between the feud that she was going through with Riley and Freddie Taylor, but we'll get to that a little bit later. But other than that, the Holman High, and spent my first 4 years in Stuttgart, Arkansas, and went through quite a bit. My mom went through quite a bit. It's a long story, but then we're going to try to broaden it out as much as we can. Going to elementary school, I see not Townsend Park, but when we look at Holman High, it was an elementary school combined with freshmen and high school all in at once. That was all about. Everybody went to Holman High. My teacher there was, as I can remember, we went from the 2nd grade to the 4th grade. And it was a challenge because basically my mom was always on the move, migrating to and from Pine Bluff, Arkansas to Stuttgart, Arkansas. I went through some problems, so that's another problem there. But I enjoyed coming up. I had a wonderful life, during that time. My mom would always take us to the church on this Baptist church, which was across the tracks in Stuttgart, Arkansas, basically. And going there and coming up and just my brother and I, we always was having fun. There was no man around to raise us. My brother, Brother Will, was the man of the family. I admired him to the point where I wanted to be like him. That boy looked so good, so fine, man. And at a young age, always fighting, always doing that. So basically, he wouldn't go to school. He's always tooling. He's always skipping school and all of that, etc. But he was the man that we admire. I mean, the young man that we admired at that time because there was no man coming up raising us. Mom, she had all the responsibility, and I think the responsibility of a woman never ends. But understanding that, had a good life. Um, when school was out, we would go to the movies every Saturday. But we were church going folk individuals because my mom, she was an evangelist. I think she inherited from her mother. My grandmother only had one child. That was my mom, Leora Smalley Mahomes. I am the last heir of the Mahomes. Somehow that going through elementary school and being out in and out, migrating to and from Pine Bluff, my mom always had this problem with individuals, trying to be the man of the house. There wasn't no man around. Basically, it was just her. I think it really affected her in a way that we yet to understand today. And being quite young, the only thing I remember is that we had to survive. I was constantly hungry all the time. I don't stay hungry. But anyway, mom did the best she could with us, and I think that during the time of coming up at that time, growing up and this and that, school was out, we would go to the cotton field, big cotton, whatever. Before we moved to 212 West Jefferson Street, we lived with our relatives, and mom was going through some additional problems and trying to survive and trying to support us at that time, not having any additional help. So basically, I think me being a young sibling and not really understanding what was going on, so we end up migrating to and from Pine Bluff to Stuttgart, where she was, I guess, in a relationship with someone else, and etc. And feud, how the feud became the problem with Taylor and Riley. She named all of her children Riley. All I ever known was Ray Riley. That's all I ever knew. With the school as Riley, Earlene was called Riley, William was called Riley, and David was called Riley. But when it comes down to the man coming in to support and knowing who your dad was very important to us, because I never really knew who he was. But understanding that basically, my mom and I, after going through the ordeal, this is from 48 to 57. I was around about 8 years old at that time. My sister, Earlene, she left the family out on her own, never got married, that she was the first one to go to college. My other sister got married, moved to Pine Bluff. And to make a story short, she was married to a Hollis Hayes Bridget. So my mom was trying to figure out basically how to go in because she was constantly in in an abuse relationship. I think she really wanted to know what's going on with her daughter, so she migrated to Pine Bluff. That's why she was migrating to and from Pine Bluff to Stuttgart. And that was myself and I and William. So Earlene finally moved she went to Milwaukee, my older sister, leaving us behind. And basically taking my younger brother with her. That was David. And William and I was the only one left behind. So basically trying to get that understanding, my mom and I would always, we end up moving to 212 West Jefferson Street. Shotgun house. Everybody would always tease us, always braiding our hair, never got our hair cut. I don't know whatever happened to the pictures and all that, but William and I, David was already left, so it's just William and I went to school. William would never attend school. I was the only one that was attending. That's how my grades fell a little bit, trying to understand what was going on at such a young age. But other than that, we ate. She survived. She took care of us. But I always being teased because they thought we were little girls running around there. William, I think that's how he became a knockout artist. I mean, Muhammad Ali had nothing on him. Nothing. And at 15, 14, 15, 12, I would say around 1958, he had to be around 13 years old. Big for his age. I mean, I think he resembled my mom more than anybody in the family. I mean, he had that look, the good hair. I mean, he looked so good. I mean, it hurts. But other than that, when wouldn't go to school though, he couldn't read or write. He had illiteracy, he couldn't do that. But he knew how to count money. He knew how to do that. So that's why we admired him. I think during that time, my mom, was having some crises because of her religion and all of that. And I think she was admitted for a while and left us with my sisters and my other brothers and sisters. So they was end up raising us. Eventually, we moved to Pine Bluff because my sister, elder sister, younger sister, had got married. She became a Christian, went through a lot of abuse, everything else. So this is why we migrated to Pine Bluff. And my mom, she met met a man by the name of Mr. Joe. Him and Will didn't get along too well. We all got along with because I used to wet the bed. William used to take off my clothes, and he used to wet the bed. We were all bedwetters for some reason. But anyway, we went to a school there called Thompson Park. Thompson Park. Ended up migrating back to Stuttgart, and that was the time consuming from 58 to 59, moving back to Stuttgart. And mother was looking for a lot of assistance. There wasn't any assistance. There wasn't any aid. So we relied on our families to support us until we can get settled. So that was a lot of stress on her at that particular time. We ended up getting some welfare help, some kind of help for to help out, but then there was no other help because if it was help, the money that was coming in to support us, we don't know what she did with it. So it was kind of hard coming up in Stuttgart at that particular time. My older sister had moved to Milwaukee, so my mom was saying that we're probably going to move to Milwaukee. That was when I was probably 9 years old. And basically moving to Milwaukee, it was kind of a change for us because our younger brother was already there, David C. We call him Baby Dave. Anyway, to think about that, we're going to have 3 sermons on this because we're going to try to do the best we can to try to bring it to some closure. And coming to Milwaukee, I think we're around about 9 years old at the time. And the only residence that we had to stay was with my sister, Earlene. And my younger sister was still in Pine Bluff. So basically, we stayed there with her. All of the brothers, my older brother and my younger brother, we stayed with my elder sister. They was on 6th and Burleigh. Now, to try to put this all together, being 9 years old at that particular time, my mom, she came along with us. She was doing okay at that time. Enrolled us in a school called La Follette Elementary School. That was a school that my younger brother was attending at that particular time. And my brother Will, we all would end up there. So that's how I got demoted. I would say, I'm going to demote you because you're having some problem with your reading skills and et cetera, et cetera. I said, well, why you want to demote me? I said, I should be in the 5th grade. No, I'm going to demote you. And that was the best thing that ever happened to me. It was called a special C at that particular time. William and I was I thought it was something special. But it was for slow learning individuals at that particular time. But I was not a slow learner. I could read and write. But my mom was kind of dedicated to that, making sure that my education would improve. So I was demoted. And from the 5th grade back to the 4th grade kind of upset me a little bit. But the fact of it was, that was the best thing that ever could have happened to me. Now, during that time, I'm going to cut it a little short and go back, and I'm going to continue on in my next round. Amen. So the fact of it is that we're going to, in our next time, we're going to do another segment of it so we can catch on from Milwaukee all the way up until maybe to my teen years. All right.